The best part of being registered with accessibility services was there were probably at least two things. One, having a person I could always go to when I needed assistance with something or needed help. And two, if I needed tutoring, it would put me on the top of the list to get tutoring, so I could get that as soon as I need it instead of having to be on a wait list. I've had a couple of accommodations. I would say the four most helpful would be audiobooks for when I'm reading, so that I could use that, and like Read and Write Gold software so it can read them to me or read like documents. Time and a half on tests so that I could be able to like read and think through and take my time on trying to process the questions and then answer them with what I knew. Also, things like one of the things they did for me was during tests, I had a hard time keeping track with the bubbles of which question was which line, and I would sometimes put on the wrong line for the wrong answer. So what they did, instead of, I couldn't have something to track with, but they let me just circle the answer on the question instead of on the bubbles, which was a nice compensation. So that was, and then the fourth one was on higher level math. I was allowed to use calculators for like multiplication because I have a really hard time memorizing those. But I knew like the really big problems. I understood the higher math like equations. I just could not remember the easier math. With faculty, we have self-identification forms that we fill out and hand to them, and I give them to them as soon as I can. And I usually pull them aside and just kind of explain what kind of accommodations I need, and kind of talk with them what they can work with me in the class, and what I should be expecting in the class, and will I even need these accommodations or not, because sometimes it wasn't really necessary for what they were going to be doing in the class, and sometimes it was. Don't put too much pressure on yourself or jump the gun. I know a lot of people feel a huge pressure just to get 1 billion credit hours in and to like be on your A game for everything and meet all these high standards. You don't have to. I personally did not. I was a part-time student my first semester. So I was trying to pace myself so that I could kind of get my feet in and get used to whatever the pace of college classes were and know what kind of accommodations I needed. But also, don't be afraid to ask questions and ask for help from your teachers and from the accessibility department. Everybody's here to help you, and when you ask, people are more than willing to work with you and help you. No disability is something that is part of your identity, and it's nothing that should hold you back from pursuing either your dreams or your goals. Even if people are telling you and discouraging you, find the people that will encourage you and help you along the way, because you are not less than, and it is not who you are. It doesn't have to define you, but you can let it define you. But that will just hold you back. If you realize you are not whatever that label is. I have dyslexia, but I do not consider myself dyslexic. I don't ever approach it that way. I have other things as well, but I don't consider that part of my identity, and I am able to move past that and able to persevere so much more because I realize it's just something to work through. It's not something that is impossible or unreachable.